What's up, guys? How's it going today? I apologize for being so late. I am gonna change my schedule around to being 10 a.m. because 9:45 just tends to be way too tight for me to be able to set everything up and get in here how I want to. So, um, yeah, that's gonna be probably the time that I'll be doing the streams in the morning. Excuse me. Uh, I feel like my I don't know if it's just the way my camera is or what, but I feel like my camera is so lagged. I have to figure it out. I have to see what's going on with that. But anyway, welcome, guys. It is Try Hard Tuesday. We are doing our second consecutive day in a row. Shock mount. I need a shock mount. I hit this thing way too much. Today we're going to talk about a special goal that I have for you guys and for myself, especially with not getting that great of sleep last night. I don't know. I slept hard, and I just went to bed way later than I expected. And, issues came up last night with stuff with the house. So, it was stuff that I had to deal with late at night. And then I, that I came up with late at night, and then or that I had to deal with late at night, and then I went to sleep, and then my kids woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, and again at 6, and again at 6:30. So like I didn't get that much sleep as much as I needed. I just realized it sent out the notification that let's put this on. Do 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 do. Okay. Yeah, so I had to deal with stuff last night. My kids woke up weirdly this morning, and then, it just was a weird time, I feel like. But we're here. So Try Hard Tuesday. The goal I have is to have you and myself exercise stopping the train. And we're going to get into what that means a little bit later. But it's one of my main starting points when I was working with trying to take care of my anger and dealing with my anger, even in rage moments, even in tense moments. And the situations that I'm going to talk about are the ones that are most near and dear to me, because they're the ones that it's the situation that was most relatable to me, that I had initiated because of what I'm going to talk about. So that being like too confusing, I want to get into it in a couple minutes, but I wanted to pick a good soundtrack, good little. I don't think the chill jazz was good last time, but anyway, while I'm picking something, what's up with you guys? How you doing today? Good to see you. Good to see you. Welcome. Feel free to share. Ask any questions you may may feel like asking, or whatever you got going on. And yeah, let's just hang out in the coffee shop. I had come to realize that yesterday, when I was talking about my music volume, I come to realize that it's not as loud apparently as I thought it was, or the player that I was replaying my music through just, whatever. We'll see how it goes. Do I want this today? I wish when I picked the soundtracks that it would show me the playlist rather than just playing through it, if that makes any sense. Let me see. What about this one? I'm undecided. Sorry, guys. I'm so undecided today. Or, yeah, that one doesn't have anything. Let's just go back. Let's go back. If it doesn't fit, we'll switch it up. Or if there's not a lot of them. We'll try this one out, see where it goes. So, stopping the train has a lot to do with going through the motions of connecting with yourself to realize that you're angry. And, and it doesn't just fit anger, but since the theme of the week is anger, I feel like it's, it's important to talk about that. It's more of like any emotion that you have that's out of control, right? And it's a way to bring a new sense of awareness to yourself rather than just keeping going through the same mistakes that you find yourself making. It's doing the most to be able to stop that from being a regrettable situation. Sorry, my daughter's reading. It's cute. From being a regrettable situation that you're going to say something or do something or act in a way that you have a bad habit of, and you're just trying to stop that train. You're trying to stop, the train gets the momentum. It has a lot of power, and it's hard to stop. You can slam on the brakes and not stop for miles. You know what I mean? So, before you do that, it's about learning how to apply the brakes and learning how to put the appropriate pressure on at the appropriate points of when you're trying to gain control again, the main part of it, I think, is awareness. I think, if you are aware of how you're acting or how you are or what your mood is at any given time, I think it's very good that you're able to cue into that and you're able to use that to your advantage. If you're not, I have laid out some information about how I started, because I was not good at stopping that train. Even though I am very aware, I feel like I do have that going for me, which helped me in this process. But I think even just hearing this information will bring a sort of awareness out that you can do it. You can achieve this level. So I'm just going to turn that down for me a little bit. I forgot which one controls my headset. So awareness is the main thing in stopping the train, and to yourself specifically. You can be aware of the situations around you, and that will help later on. But it helps even more if you're aware of how you feel in the moments that you feel certain feelings. Anything that doesn't feel right in your mind or your body, or anything that you notice is you just feel a little bit off. It could be that your face is getting hot, or you can feel that you're just not feeling the right way for whatever particular reason. It's important to notice these cues, or you're clenching your fist, you're shaking your leg, you're becoming very anxious, you're feeling a certain way. It's important to notice those cues, because those are your early warning signs, and they might be different for you. They might be completely different things. I know one of the warning signs for me when I'm in a manically happy mood is me being excessively manically happy. And at a certain time, I have to realize that and kind of sort of gain control of that, because I, can have the habit of going overboard and then bothering the environment around me in some way. And then even if it's not bothering the environment around me, something small can trigger a response that I don't want to happen. And so that's why I have to be aware of that. And sometimes I need to refocus my energy from being expressive in that way, in the way of me moving around, jumping around and being crazy, and writing or reading or doing something active with that energy, But you know, it also is specific to what early warning signs you like. What's triggering those? What is the cause of those early warning signs? And most of the time, if you boil down what causes anger, it's a feeling of either embarrassment or belittlement or disrespect. And in my case specifically, those are very much my triggers. If I made a wrong choice, even if it's not including like an outside perspective or an outside whatever interaction, if I made the wrong choice or did something wrong and I became angry about it, it wouldn't start as anger. It would start as self-judgment because I was embarrassed and belittling myself over it. You should have done better. You could have made a better choice. You should have done it this way. You know, you're stupid. You know better. Like things like that was language that I would use with myself. And you know, there's more examples of it, obviously, but you know, that's where things would often start, whether it was in interaction with somebody else or whether it was myself or what have you. Those are usually what they boil down to. It's usually not, you know, excited or sad or anything like that cues into the anger region. It's those underlying feelings of being disrespected or being, like I said, belittled or embarrassed or what, you know, something along the lines of those. Even confusion. I know a lot of people get angry when they're confused or frustrated, and that leads to anger. But even with confusion, I think it boils down to being embarrassed that you're confused, because I notice the people that get the angriest about it are usually the people who have a hard time asking for help or admitting that they might need a little assistance. And so they just ride that confusion and it causes those issues later on. If I felt belittled or disrespected in any sort of way, that would lead to the embarrassment. For different reasons, depending on the source of what was going on. If it was myself, it was people outside of my body. But it would all end up the same way, but a far different, more explosive sense of anger. Like embarrassment for me was always worse than just being confused, you know, which would lead into the other, obviously. But embarrassment for me was always worse than if somebody were to punch me in the face. And that sounds ridiculous, but you know, punching me in the face is a much more quicker to anger response, right? If I was embarrassed, I have time to stew in that, and I have time to really boil over and think about it and think and roost on it, you know? And then it would be this thing that just balled up, and all that energy that stayed there and just growed and growed, and just grew and grew would be something that came out in a really negative way. And you know, so I had to cue into those moments of like, you know, this is going in this level, let's try to get ahead of that, you know. But you know, the level of self-monitoring that I'm talking about is not that easy to establish. And even in those specific moments that I'm talking about, it took a lot of practice. I'm talking years and years of practice to be able to step out of myself in that moment of like, you know, anger and just purified rage, and being able to go back into this mindset of just, you know, observing the situation and realizing really what's happening, right? It's not easy. It takes a very, very long time, like I said. But everybody has to start somewhere. And even if it's like the tiniest little step, you know, it's important for you to take that step, because that's what's going to lead you to where you want to be. The basis behind working on this stopping power that everybody has within them is your breath. And if you focus on your breath in the moment of being angry, you're way further along than most people are on this adventure. And you're about halfway to achieving that level of awareness, because it's one of the hardest things to do, is to take your time and really, you know, like, you know, you ball up your fists and get in that angry mode right now, and you'll feel it. You'll feel that you're unstoppable right now. You'll feel that nothing is gonna pause that. And this can be a part of that practice too. It's I forgot what the practice is called, but it's like it was something that we practiced in IIN. It was actually a lesson on it that you can basically fake yourself into feeling different emotions. If you're angry, you can laugh ridiculously and make yourself happy from that. If you're happy, you can grit your teeth and crunch up your face and ball your fists, and you'll start feeling those emotions and those feelings that are associated with anger. And if you kind of sit yourself down and make yourself super mellow and frown your face and those types of things, you'll start feeling sad. So you can sorry, I lost myself for a little bit. If you incorporate that into your practice of trying to associate that emotion and that feeling and taking a breath, it's better to do it, starting off when you're in a good mood, because by the time you're angry and you try to incorporate this, it's already too late. You get yourself into that, like, raw, I'm ready to go, I'm mad, I'm pissed off, that type of thing. And then practice just stopping. And even when you're faking that, it's so hard. It's so hard to practice and that stop. And it's so hard to just halt that train, and just breathe. But it's a good exercise to try, because you can even feel in that moment. I just felt it. You can even feel in that moment that once you release all that tension, you're that feeling of just peace and relaxation kind of flushes over you, kind of washes over you, and that's the important part that you want to cue into. That's the main step of what you want to establish when you're in the angriest moments that you could possibly be in. And mind you, I am talking about any situation. I have one in particular that I'm going to talk about because it's near and dear to me. But getting into fights or, getting into an emergency situation, it's something that I've established in myself that, in an emergency situation, I can literally stop myself and observe and think from like almost a third person perspective about what's going on around me. And to establish that level of awareness starts with what I'm talking about. So the story that I'm going to get into is kind of how I initiated this process, right? In a lot of situations that I've come into as a parent, I found myself being kind of forced into this breath situation. Children obviously have a magical way of being able to find, pinpoint, and obliterate every single button that you didn't even know you had, right? On the plus side, there is a bonus to it where they build new buttons. And it's a part of neuroplasticity, one of my favorite terms, where, you establish these buttons because of them breaking down your barriers. You establish these new things that you didn't even know you were capable of having. And these level of patience that you didn't even know you had possessed in you. I've been so angry and enraged at my kids before that I didn't even know it was impossible to hold love for the very thing that pissed you off to this level. And, this emotional effect from this situation is what cued me into what I need to do to establish my balance. I've thrown objects, I've yelled and cursed and all this stuff, not at my kids, obviously. That would be a bad situation. Until I noticed that these responses that I was initiating, using my voice of thunder and blah, 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 until I noticed that this response that I was getting from my kids was not the affectionate obedience, quote unquote, that I thought it was, and that's a whole nother topic in itself that I'll touch on, I think, another time, because I do want to touch on the subject of kids eventually. And obedience versus independence and things like that, but it wasn't the level of affectionate obedience that at that time I was looking for. It was a fear reaction from them. It was a fear reaction that only taught them that if things didn't go their way, they can do what I was doing. You know, if things didn't go their way, they learned that they can throw things and yell and scream and be angry. And not that it would fix their problems, but that's what I was displaying to them, right? That was my path. And even though none of us got the result that we wanted, that's what they learned because I was modeling it for them. And I didn't like that. I hated that. The thing that really cued me into it was when they seemed like they were becoming afraid or getting shocked. That initial that I didn't like at all. I hated that. When I began noticing what my anger did to people, I became more aware of these instances that I became angry in. And that's a part of what brought out my awareness. There's, to go off topic a little bit, there's a couple of books that I've looked into that are on parenting that teach you about your toddler's level of control over you. And that's kind of the subject matter of what drives this emotion, which is why I'm getting into it. And it basically touches on how you're being ruled by your toddler, and your anger is the exact result of the underlying feeling of them having control over you and lacking respect for you. And the funny thing is that these books made me realize they don't even know they're doing it most of the time. It's our job to teach kids respect. They don't have it inherently. They have an inherent openness where they're open to gather information and to, you see different colors of people and different genders and different things, and they don't care about that, right? But respect is a different thing that mainly adults and older people understand, and it's up to us to teach them that. They don't inherently just have that, but as adults, knowing that and having that established, when we feel disrespected, even if it's by something, 1/10 our size, we feel a certain way about it, and that's where a lot of anger in parents comes from. They don't listen to me. They don't respect me. I feel like I'm not getting through to them. All things that are stemming from these two situations where they have the control and we don't feel respected, right? And that's where things get tricky. They don't understand that your anger-filled reactions are a response to something that they did. They just know that in that moment they're afraid, right? They know in that moment you're throwing something because you're trying to express something. They know in that moment that you think that yelling is going to get your reaction that you want. So that's what they do. They take suit straight from us. And there's a lot of good books that touch on it. Like I said, there's Raising Good Humans by Hunter Clark Fields. There's and Carla Naumberg. I think I'm pronouncing that right. There's A Boy Without Instructions by Penny Williams. And there's one of my favorites, The Essential Guide to Raising Complex Kids by Elaine Taylor Kloss. They're my top few with other sprinkled informational sources here and there, but I'll throw those up in the video description and stuff like that so that, you guys have them available. But, I was reading into these books and it just enlightened me to this fact that, I'm looking for my kids to be adults. I'm looking for my kids to be responsible adults. And they're kids, they're kids. And it's not like you can't expect them to be responsible adults later on. It's just that you expect them to do it now. And that's part of the reason why, you get this anger response out of yourself. You get this angry interaction of fear and confusion and, dis-self-regulation where, in other ways of teaching them, you would get a better response and elicit a better reaction from them. So in that realization, when I realized these things, I began by working my way backwards, because just stopping that train, I was not Tobey Maguire. I did not stop it in time. I got angry and frustrated and upset, and the train just derailed, and it was all a mess, But in that realization, I began working backwards, and I noticed that when their faces change, the crying began, or whatever the trigger in those moments were. For me, mainly, it was like, first it was when they cried, I felt bad, right? And then that was able to grow into me noticing when their faces dropped, as I called it. When they were happy, excited, running around and going crazy, and then all of a sudden you see that broken face. It's hard to explain. It's hard for me to talk about. And, because I'm a very sensitive person like that. I'm a very empathetic person. And when somebody looks upset, I feel that. And especially when it's your own kids, it's such a powerful feeling. It hits you like I want to say worse than a cannonball to the gut. It hits you hard. And that was a very powerful thing for me to grab onto. And it's not going to be the same for everybody in every different situation. It's not going to be the same, for when things start to get elevated and you get excited, say you're in a fight or an accident of some kind or something like that. It is not going to be the same situation. But for me, that was that powerful thing that I grabbed onto. And I was like, this is it. This is where I am going to change myself, When they were crying, like, I knew I wanted to change, but I wasn't sure how. And when I started associating that broken face look with how I felt when I got yelled at as a kid, or when I got in trouble, or when I was confused, or when I was whatever as a kid, that was mentally enough for me to be able to cue into that and be like, this is where you can change the path of your parenting. This is where you can correct the mistakes of generations before you. This is where you fix things. And I was able to hold on to that. And, initially for doing those things, every time it hit, I hated myself for that. Every time they cried, I hated myself for that. Every time their face dropped, or every time, they started showing, that they were angry or whatever, I hated that. I hated that because I knew it was my fault. And I hated that I did that to my own child, and so grappling onto that situation, it became, a tool, my strongest tool that I use to improve myself. And sometimes in the middle of raising my voice, this tool was the most powerful weapon I had. Even when I was like yelling, for example, or when getting upset or whatever, or when I noticed myself, looking for something to just get angry at, this was my tool for calming myself down in those moments. And it doesn't start that easy. It sounds easy the way I'm saying it, I feel like, but it does not start there. A lot of times, like what I mean from starting backwards is I initiated saying I'm sorry and taking the time to sit and talk to them and to share what was happening in my mind while they were acting a certain way or doing a certain thing. And don't worry about being mindful about how you talk to them about things right away, because the main thing is taking care of you first, right? So you have to change your own language with your own emotion before you can explain to somebody else, how you were affected by something they did, or, whatever. It goes deeper into that. It even goes all the way to, expressing that even though they have no power over you, like getting to the level of understanding that they have no power over you. You have the power to react however you want to react to them. And it takes a long time. That's way down the road from here. But it's those moments where, even after a crying fit, when, my kids would break down crying, I would take 5-10 minutes and I would leave the room. I'd go somewhere else and calm down and just breathe. And then I would come back and I'd say, listen, this is what upset Daddy. Daddy's sorry for everything. It's not good to talk to yell at everybody. It's not good to be angry. It's not good to Well, I wouldn't say it's not good to be angry. It's not good to express your anger like that, is what I would tell them, because I was very careful in those terms with how I talked to them about feelings. But I would, just have this conversation with them, and that was my starting point. That was my thing, and I would apologize, and I'd hold them tight, and I'd say, "I'm so sorry, for scaring you or upsetting you or whatever." But, you have to understand how other people are going to take these things. And, maybe there's a better way that we can do this. And I would promise them, I'd say, if I promise not to yell, do you promise to try to listen better or not do this or whatever, and I would try to work it out as a deal with them almost. But, in those moments that I would talk to them, I would start there, and then I would work my way backwards where, in the moment of them crying, I would embrace them rather than after the fact. Or, if it started with after the fact, then, I would try to pause from taking a break out of the room if I can work my way up to that. And then while they were crying, if I could work my way up to immediately just hugging them and supporting them and being able to be there with them. And then it started being beforehand, more proactive. And it was still in the moments of anger where sometimes, I would notice that I'm yelling and I'd be like, and mid yell, I could be mid sentence and I would stop and I just, and change my flow, change what I was doing, and it took a very long time. It took a very, very long time. But that's where the breath comes in. The deep breath to gather your thoughts and keep and think about what's going on around you, being aware, noticing what's happening in life around you so that you can take in all the information and sort out how to better proceed. Like I said, even if I feel like I couldn't clear my head at the time, when I took the deep breath, I walked away, even in some situations where it was about to happen. And, I have the cameras on all the time in the monitors, all the time in my house, because of, having a home-based business and having to, run back and forth between, my in-laws and the kids and taking care of the house and, giving them time to play, finding time for myself and all the crazy stuff that can happen. You hear it. Even if the cameras are off, you hear it where, they're yelling or fighting or whatever they were doing. And I would have to be like, just don't go in there yet. Don't do it. Let it ride. If nobody's getting hurt, let it ride, and after things stopped would be a different situation. It would be less of a angry response and more of a, okay, here come the actual consequences to what happened, and, it's just important to keep in your mind that you can always revisit the situation. It's most important to stop the train when it's coming full speed, but you can always revisit the situation. It's not just in parenting, but it's in anything that you can think of that where you elicit this kind of negative response from. Like I said, it's what I find to be the most relatable. It could be with your spouse. It could be with your family, yourself, whatever the situation calls for. This moment's built in somewhere. This deep breath moment is built in somewhere where you can latch on and take hold. Cling to that moment of this feeling needs to change, and once you start thinking that, cling to that feeling. Wonder, what is eliciting that feeling. And then once you find the answer to that, cling to that and hold those tight. Hold on to those with everything you got, because that's going to be your avenue to change. Sit with that and let it embed itself into you, and in a loving kind of way. And breathe. Breathing is the number one thing that's going to calm you down in any situation that you encounter. So breathe while you're doing this. Breathe. And in that breath or breaths or trillions of breaths, whatever it takes. Grant yourself forgiveness. You're going to need a lot of it in this entire process. Grant yourself forgiveness. Grant yourself time. And don't let your mouth open until you have a clear picture in your mind of what's happening. Even if it's just a little bit clearer, even if it's just a little bit clearer than what you were, or a little bit calmer than what you were. Wait to open your mouth until you have a better idea of what you want to say. This is the moment to sort out your emotions. It's to sort out what you want to say. And as hurt as you may feel, in going back to like the causes of what the anger are, as hurt as you may feel, or as aggressive as you may feel, or as intense as you may feel, it's about not saying something that you'll regret. And whether it's kids, whether it's, something that's going to incite somebody else to be more angry, or whether it's just dig into that person a little bit, either way, it can come out to be something that you're going to regret, right? This moment is the key to how you progress from this point. And that's the power point behind it. That's the power behind this breath. This is your moment to change everything. And you can simply repeat it. You can simply repeat breathing as much as you need to make this moment stick and make this moment be the change that you need it to be. I just need to take a little sip. This is your reminder to hydrate, by the way. I think I'm going to put a little bot up here in the chat that's remember to drink some water. Oh my god, that was delicious. Hold on. I call those watergasms because it's at a point where you didn't know how thirsty you were until you took that first sip, and you're like, a wave of just like hydration fills in, like just thoroughly fills out your body, right? Washes over you. And you end up just guzzling the whole cup. That's what I call a watergasm. I used to have them a lot after working out. So back to it. So what you want to do, like I was saying before, is slowly work your way back until you get those breaths sooner and sooner. Get these moments to activate sooner and sooner. You'll find yourself at this point of growth. You'll find yourself at this point of growth where you can begin explaining yourself better. You can begin communicating your needs, your wants better. You can begin apologizing for or just stopping yourself from having to later. You can begin apologizing better, or just stopping yourself from having to later. You'll find that the other person, the other thing, the other party, whatever happened, is going to be more receptive to you. And that will progress and it'll grow more and more as you go through this process. And it's all in relation to how you react to them and energy transfer and things like that. Like, they may stay angry at you. That's out of your control. You're doing your best to not continue that energy interaction. You're doing your best not to feed anger to anger, and you're doing your best not to take anger and regurgitate it more. You're doing your best to stop that train, right? And so through this whole process, you come to a level of connection with yourself that you didn't really have before. And like I said, this relates to more than just parenting. It relates to more than just anger. It relates more to everything that's going on. It begins a long process of growth, or at least it can feel very long, because I don't ever consider growth to be an ending process, right? You have the choice to stop, but you also have the choice to keep going. And I don't consider that you ever have an end to your growth, your level of progression, your growth. So it begins a long process of growth where you are able to dive deeper into your emotions. You're able to dive deeper into what triggers you. You're able to dive deeper into what you're passionate about, right? Because sometimes these moments of are very self-discovery moments. You know, they're very revealing. You know, oh my God, I didn't realize I get so angry about this because I'm actually passionate about this. This may be what I'm supposed to be doing. And it sounds extreme. There's a lot more steps in between that, but it connects the same way. One leads to the other. And you only find these things through taking the breaks in those moments and connecting the dots like this. And like I just said, it sounds very far-fetched, but especially the longer you live with the feelings of anger and rage and things like that, it sounds very hard. It sounds very, very hard. But even if it is difficult, it's definitely worth it. It's so worth it to get yourself back from this, to get yourself out of the way of this train, to stop the train. And like I just said, for your own self-discovery, it's vital. It's important, because stopping the train doesn't just mean with a negative emotion. It also means, maybe you're along a path or following something that's not really working for you, but you have a feeling about it, but you don't really 100% know. It's about stopping that train too and being able to reroute it or wherever you need to go, So that breaks down to be what my challenge is for you guys and for myself today. Like I said, no matter where you are in the process, you can always evolve from where you are. I know I'm tired today. I know I'm not as full of energy as I could be. So my challenge is going to be from wherever I'm at, which is usually pretty proactive. Wherever I'm at, I'm going to try to get there sooner and try to not allow anything to trigger me or upset me or whatever. And that's the best we can do sometimes. Sometimes it's that minimal step. Sometimes it's that small thing that you can do to just make some sort of progress, It's instead of, climbing slowly into the pool, sticking your toe in the water. And that leads to sticking your foot in. That leads to your whole leg, both legs, your entire body, And so just take these steps, man. Just in your everyday life, when a situation comes up that's uncomfortable for whatever reason, or you feel like it's off, give it a try and see where you end up with it. Like I just said, even if it's a small step in the right direction, it's a step closer to where you want to be. And that's the important part of today's talk is, how to stop that train. You don't want anything derailing. When things derail, people get hurt and, bad things happen. And it's just not a good situation for really anybody involved, and you don't want to become that situation. You want to dictate who you are. I want to, I'm sorry. My daughter is is like looking out the window and like singing. It's like she's a Disney princess. It's so fucking cute. I can't. But I wanted to take some time now that we have some extra time. I thought that this would definitely take way more effort. I wanted to take some time to talk about to go over. I think I wanted to do the horoscope thing again today, and I wanted to do the Wombo Dreams again today, just because I'm interested in incorporating that when I have time. But just to also explain the kind of format that I have for the shows is to, talk about what the subject of the week is, and then go into the kind of show format where like I, talk about things, we talk about what's going on. And I work up to the subject itself, which I usually want to spend about a half hour, 45 minutes or so on. and then lead out of that and get into the fun stuff, and answer any questions that you guys have and talk to you guys back and forth, throughout the show, obviously, but include that. And then what I'm going to do at the end of the week is take the culmination of everything that I discussed and cut it up and make a YouTube video out of it. And it'll be a little bit more polished. You'll probably only see like right over my head in this area, and I'll be talking to the camera. I'll cut out the fancy stuff that'll be saved for the streams and stuff like that, and get to the meat and potatoes of it. Produce that video by the end of the week. That's my goal each week. I think Saturdays are usually going to be my production days. That's when I have like the most free time. But yeah. So, in case you guys are ever wondering about me going into these spiels, what I do is I write up, the notes about what I want to talk about, and I'm also going to take that at the end of the week and reconstitute it into like a written form, like a comprehensive, like a blog, post that and have that accessible as well. I have to do a blog for last week's information. But tomorrow, I also, before I forget again, because I forgot 100 times already, I have to finish up doing some work on the floors in my house. So tomorrow I will not be streaming in the morning, but I will be back on Thursday and Friday, guaranteed. So please feel free to join me for that. Let's get into what I wanted to talk about with the other stuff. She's dancing now. So cute. I used to be heartbroken about taking my time. Hold on one second. She's playing peekaboo with the camera. So I had to feed into it. There's only so much cuteness I can avoid. But yeah, I used to be so weird about putting the cameras on and having to take care of my own business, and it was something that used to make me kind of frustrated because I never had time, right? I never had time to do any of the stuff that I wanted to take care of or needed to take care of to get my business really off the ground. And that's part of what took me so long from 2019 to 2020, 2021 to really get things like steamrolling. When I started the stream and all that stuff, like everything that I have now is really driving force for what I want to be doing and to make it my full-time job, my full-time work, doing the health coaching and this mentality training and stuff like that. And I had a hard time for a while, even before all this. I used to have a hard time with playing video games when my kids were awake. I hated doing that. I hated taking time like that, from my kids. But I have to come to the realization too that even right now, she's on the camera, she's dancing, she's having fun, but she's imaginatively playing. And kids are resilient. It's not I felt initially like it was a matter of not abandoning them, but kind of I don't know, feeling like I'm ignoring them, and I didn't like that. But more and more I'm finding, I think it was by accident actually, when I took too long to work on a project or something, and I looked at the camera and I said, wow, they're all playing really well with each other. They're playing things I've never seen them play before. I thought that was so cool. And since then, it's like a growth thing for them where they get free time, man. They get free time by themselves, and give them a stack of toys or give them a stack of books or something. I kind of scatter a few things around her room with her, so that she can get exposure to different things. And we don't have a TV in her room or anything like that. No tablets or anything. Just the monitor so I can check on her. But every once in a while, drop crayons in a coloring book, or drop, careful with those, obviously, because she's colored on the walls, but it is what it is. And plays with her toys, and she just finds so many inventive ways to play. And it's from my other son too. My middle son takes so much energy throughout the day, and he's a rough kid. He's a great kid. I love him to death, but he's a rough kid to have the energy and keep up with him all day. You know what I mean? So that can be a challenge, but that saved our relationship between me and him, because I used to get so frustrated and then so resentful that everything I did, he was still needing so much more energy and attention, and it didn't matter how much time I could be glued to the kid all day long, talking to only him, and he still needed more. But when we noticed that he took these breaks in his room and he was just able to play by himself and just be in his own world, it freed up so much for us and for him, and it was just such a great thing. So do take that time for yourselves. It's very important. But yeah, so I forgot how I led into this, but take time for yourself. That's where I'm going to leave that. I wanted to bring up this special thing. Let's see if we can do this. All right, I want to see. I have to move this over so that we can see. Let's see if we can get this going. This phone screen thing going. Let's do it wide too. Oh, I have it on Do Not Disturb. That's right. Yes. I hit accept. It's not doing it. There we go. It's on. All right. So we're going to incorporate this. Let's see if we can get this. Let's transition over here. Oh, I already have it on here. Cool. Oh, I was like, where is it? So here it is. Can I reformat this so that it's... Can I stretch it? All right, let's see how this works. I'll see if I can just move this around here. What do we got? Let's do this first. Co-star. So, where's the top of it? My thing for today, intelligence isn't always a good thing, which, I don't know, didn't really set with me one way or another. But when I went to all updates and I read like the daily thing for it, today you feel torn between keeping an open mind and complete neutrality, which I do sometimes. It's good to waver if that's what you need. Just make sure you're not doing that thing where you make everything about abstract ideas and generalities. That right there. I was trying to reach up to it. I just poked my ceiling. That right there, that sentence. Just make sure you're not doing that thing where you make everything about abstract ideas and generalities. As a deep thinker, as a constant overthinker, I have such a problem with doing that with everything. So many times in my past, just getting that feedback, it's not that serious, dude. Like stuff like that. Or you're going too deep with it, Just getting that sort of information from that. I tend to do that a lot. So it's pretty funny that's bringing it up today. Because I feel like there's certain situations where early in the morning I started overthinking a lot. And yeah, so there. Every day is an opportunity for a new investigation of life's fundamental questions. Just realized that was That's true. And to me, that's not saying like, that's not going back on the previous sentence. To me, that's saying, you know, you have other chances to overthink about other things any other time. It's you can literally relive it every single day. This month, you're ready to let them initiate for once. This is a commendable move for someone who wants a complete merger, body, mind, and soul. Let the people you love grow and change without judging or taking your love away. And I have been really practicing that. That's another thing that I think is a constant level of growth for me. I've been really practicing that a lot. Your main challenge right now is to ask yourself if a relationship has stopped working or take time to clear out and unload yourself. An unhealthy desire is accompanied by clinginess, contraction, tension, and pressure. I don't know if that really relates. I guess we'll find out. But that's that. And the other thing I wanted to look at. Was some of this Wombo Dream. Yeah, buddy. Let's see if I can shrink this back down a little bit so that we can see it. See the whole thing. The aspect ratio is weird, but it's also weird on my actual computer. Where is it? Bro. Oh, there we go. I don't really care about it being like whatever. I just want this right there. Whoa. Yeah, she's still playing peekaboo, by the way. Okay, yeah, so that's there. So this was the last one that we did. I forgot that this one, for whatever reason, this app needs to be manipulated from my phone. So nonviolent communication, love and respect was this one. So what we're going to look for, and I need to do this. 10 minutes left. Sorry, we're here. We're here. I only have about 10 minutes left. All right, so one thing I wanted to do to type into what's going on is we're going to hit number 1, awareness, awareness, awareness. Okay. Actually, let's do anger first. Awareness. Anger, awareness. What else? Anger, awareness. Trying to think of what else we have. I use growth a lot. I don't want to use growth again. Let's do anger, awareness, warning. Anger, awareness, warning. Let's go. Disrespect. Disrespected. Disrespect. Let's keep it simple. Anger, awareness, warning, disrespect. And let's go maybe fear, or I'm looking through what I wrote to see what the most, like, what the common words are. Anger, awareness, warning, disrespect. I don't know if I should do embarrassment or fear. I feel like fear is a stronger, like, because anger is a very pain-based emotion, you know? So I feel like fear is a very accurate thing. Oops. All right. Anger, awareness, warning, disrespect, fear. And what I think I want to do, should we go with a negative or a positive? That's what my thing is. Because I would do etching. I would do that one right there. But I almost feel like that's guaranteed to give you a negative answer, right? A negative response or whatever. I just don't really know what else I would put. Mystical, psychic. Ooh, let's do psychic because it's anger's a very like cerebral emotion. All right, so we're going to do anger, awareness, warning, disrespect, fear, and psychic. We're going to click create. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Well, it's definitely angry. So I feel a few things in this. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything on the bottom, which I am. I feel a few things in this. So going from the top, I feel like there's a lot going on up in his head. I can't really point up there, but I feel like there's a lot going on top of him. And it kind of looks like a mind like landscape where there's things floating around. There's structures of some type. And, you know, I feel like there's just a lot circling around up there. That's the feeling that I get. And as we move closer down into the face, I feel like whatever this, can I get up there? Whatever that pink thing is, like at the top of his forehead almost, is like what's angering it almost. I feel like it's a him. But also, I see in this, like, let me see if I can enlarge myself a little bit to better talk about this. In this little... Sorry. In this little, like, I see feet going all the way up into like a woman's form, and like right up here, like this eyebrow kind of looks like it can either be a part of his face or like an arm, like going out, almost like the woman is dancing, or like I don't know how to say it, kind of like emerging or floating around from him. And it kind of looks like a contradiction, right? Like she looks so free and so open and so, you know, whatever, and he looks like he's so in pain and so like contorted and so, you know, in these emotions. And maybe she could be the representation of anger affecting him, or it could be positivity flowing from that anger, trying to like be that breath of calming him down, you know, like trying to be the person standing in front of the train almost. Like it looks like she's standing in front of him in a way and like stopping him, you know. And it looks like there's all one face, but maybe like these things right here and the thing that's over on this side, like in this area, are like a part of his body almost, or something like that. But you could definitely see a lot of emotion in the face, and a lot of like, you know, pain. I feel like I don't really get much from down here except for just a bunch of scattered imagery. I see something taking form over on this side, but I feel like, you know, it's, I don't know, maybe if I wouldn't know how to interpret this part. I don't really connect with any sort of feeling from it, except for he's based out of this. So maybe this is like his anger terrain almost. This is where he's coming from, and he's trying to grow into this thing, and he's able to use this entity to stop him, you know. Tell me what you think. Feel free. Even though it's an ugly picture, I think it's gorgeous. I think it does represent what we were talking about. Anger, awareness, warning, disrespect, fear. Like there's a lot of things in incorporated in this that even associate with the subject matter that we were talking about, stopping that beast, stopping that train, helping yourself notice that moment and exercising, stopping yourself before it gets too crazy, right? And I think it did a good job. So I'm going to publish that. Keep it in my collection of stuff. And we are pretty much going to call it right there, I think. Let's get back to this. I have to make sure that's closed. Sorry, I just want to make sure this is... There you go. Otherwise, the next time I go in there, I'm going to be like, hey, there's nothing showing. Yeah, I think that was very cool. I enjoyed that. I love that app. I emailed them. I emailed the app producer, and I asked them. I said, do I have the ability to use this app on stream? I don't expect to make money from it, but I appreciate this app for what it does, and I just wanted to make sure that I give you the proper attributions for it. But the app itself is called Wombo Dreams. It is an AI drawing app that you feed it words like we did, you pick your style like we did, and you generate. And it allows you to connect to their Discord. It allows you to share things with friends or social media. That's my alarm for picking them up from school. It allows you to share things on social media or with friends or whatever, and do what we did. So I think that's pretty cool. But guys, I'm going to get going. I appreciate you all hanging out here, and I hope to see you guys here Thursday morning, 9:40. I'm lying, 10 a.m. It's just got to be 10 a.m. I apologize if that's inconvenient for somebody, but it's just the best time for me to get started, unfortunately. So 10 a.m. Thursday morning. We're going to talk about, what is it, Throwback Thursday? About memories. We're going to talk about memories and, different ways that anger has affected us, whether good or bad, I will see you guys then. Guys, feel free, if you find any of this information helpful, whether it's now or later, follow me on my socials. Follow me on Discord. I'm very active on there. So like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube, on the Twitch, share the feed with your friends, share the videos with your friends, go and check out my links. If you type !socials in the chat, I forgot to fix that. I will fix that. I will fix that today. My bot friend should throw up something like this that'll show you all my links right there. And if you type in the Discord, is that not going to come up? Come on, bro. Oh, I mistyped it. There we go. Then you can join our Discord server where we share all kinds of cool stuff. Otherwise, it's Balancing Vitality on Discord. And feel free to come hang out, guys, anytime. I'll see you guys around. Have a good one. And don't forget to practice your goal. Stop that train. Good night. Day, morning, evening, whatever it is. Bye.